For years, Donald Trump hid behind the presidential seal. He maintains this claim of immunity to this day to avoid legal jeopardy. But as Trump's trials progress, he increasingly realizes that the protections afforded to him as president are not available to a former president. This month, judges in criminal and civil cases across the country issued critical opinions that debunk Trump's attempt to protect himself. His decisions expose him to potential prison time and huge financial penalties, potentially ruining his 2024 re-election campaign and destroying the billionaire's famous fortune. And the definitive answer may be just a few weeks away. The ongoing legal maelstrom in District of Columbia, Georgia, Florida, New York and elsewhere will be resolved at Supreme Court, which agreed earlier this month to review immunity issue raised in Justice Department Special Counsel Jack Smith's lawsuit against former president for their efforts to overturn the 2020 election. The question is seemingly simple: can an American president commit a crime while in office without facing criminal charges? It's kind of ridiculous, said Texas defense attorney Paul Saputo. They realize that they have to act fairly unanimously to really hold the country together. The growing consensus among legal scholars is that the Supreme Court will impose sharp limits on executive power that would tip Trump into conservatism. And this despite liberal concerns that Trump would take advantage current roster of the nation's highest court, where 1/3 justices were appointed by him. At first glance, it might seem that the Supreme Court has little historical material to work with. Michael Waldman, who directs the Brennan Center for Justice at New York University Law School, acknowledged that there's not a lot of precedent on issues of presidential accountability. There have been very few presidents as dishonest as Trump, Waldman said, noting that the Justice Department's policy against indicting a sitting president depends on another idea entirely. The assumption has always been that you can sue someone after the fact. There are a growing number of seminal court decisions for the Supreme Court to consider, and they largely involve Trump and his associates. The latest ruling comes on Dec. 18, when the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals weighed in on Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis' massive conspiracy case against Trump and his subordinates aimed at keeping him in office after he lost the 2020 election to Georgia. He came with his giving. To translate your results, the three-judge appeals panel in Atlanta strongly rejected an attempt by Trump's White House chief of staff, Mark Meadows, to pull the case out of state court, seeking the same federal immunity that protects U.S. Their 47-page opinion shattered any notion that Meadows and, by proxy, Trump had any legitimacy as they embarked on a campaign to intimidate Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger in